Today I just want to kind of debrief you guys on what occurred today. We had a bunch of youth, we had a bunch of police officers, we had a bunch of community leaders of all race, ethnicity, athletes, and it was an open forum, open dialogue, and honest conversation. We came together as a group first, as one big group first. We discussed some things, and then we broke down into small groups, 8 small groups, and each group had, athletes, officers, community leaders, and what we did was we just talked about the issues that's going on out there today, and we talked about solutions. Now, there was a lot of solutions that was going on out there today, but we know that nothing is going to happen overnight. But what we wanted to do was create something that we can start right now and continue on when we leave here today. It was some very, very powerful messages that was being talked about amongst not just us as athletes, but the youth. And the youth really, really spoke out today about how they feel about their community, how they feel about police officers, how they feel about relationships, and how we can mend these relationships. Both parties spoke, police spoke, youth spoke, athletes spoke, and we really got a lot of messages out of today. So, hopefully we can kind of continue this dialogue, and I think we created something today that will continue on, not just today, but in the future as well.
Now we're going to open it up for questions. Please raise your hand. Jim Hill right in the middle. Wait for the mic to come to you.
Yeah, Carmelo, Jim Hill, CBS Sports here in Los Angeles. Was there anything that really surprised you about what the young people had to say today? And also, what's your reaction to the statement made by Michael Jordan today?
So let me answer your first question first. A lot of the things that was kind of brought up from the youth was respect, trust, communicating, how to respect one another, officers to civilians, civilians to officers, education, educating the youth, educating the people, what to do when police officers stop you. I think that kind of get lost in translation a little bit. I don't think our youth is educated on those things. A lot of our youth who's in these situations don't have the education at home, don't have the parents at home to focus in on those topics at hand. So to answer your question on the Michael Jordan thing, I thought it was brilliant, and about time, that he stepped up, said what he said, because he's, at the end of the day, amongst us, he is our face. I mean, he's a African American, a very powerful African American. So for him to step up in the midst of these times right now, it was very big on his behalf, and not also just step up. It's not always about money and giving back, but for him to step up and put his money where his mouth at, I mean, the timing was perfect.
Next question. Mark Spears.
Carmelo, can you just talk about where it first started for you putting this together, and then now after seeing it, what does it mean to you to have seen what could happen from this?
It started, I want to say 3 o'clock in the morning one night, after watching CNN all day and watching all the tragedies that was happening back to back to back. And it took me a while to kind of get to that point, because a lot of times when things happen like that, everybody just quickly jumps to social media. Everybody has an opinion. Nobody know the facts. Nobody know what was going on. And we are quick to say kind of Black Lives Matter without not even knowing both sides of the story. So I wanted to take my time. I wasn't going to say nothing at first, because I kind of like to stay behind the scenes. And then I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I just started typing. And as I was typing, I just started speaking. I spoke from the heart. And the first thing that came to my mind was, I have to get my athletes, my fellow athletes, to step up and use their voice and use their platform in the best way that they can. And now that I've seen it, I mean, it went from an Instagram post to, you know, me getting, you know, LeBron and D-Wade and CP to open up the ESPYs, which was a big platform for us, to now. And then this is, you know, we're just going to keep it going. We're going to keep the conversations going. So, but for me to just see it, I really don't, when you're in it, you really don't understand and feel the impact that, you know, that you're creating, that you have. It's not until you kind of sit back and unwind and think about everything and put everything into perspective.
Next question.
Brad Turner, LA Times. I apologize for not knowing your name, officer, but my question is to you. You live here in Los Angeles. You're obviously an African-American officer. What was your take on today's thing, and what do you feel about what Carmelo's doing?
Thank you. I'm Deputy Chief Bill Scott, Commanding Officer of Operations South Bureau. I thought today was tremendous. And the biggest thing for me and a lot of the officers that were out there is that it gave us a safe space to talk. And I know we've heard our Chief of Police and our Mayor talk about that, having a safe space to talk. The youth, these conversations were very deep, at least in my group. And I participated, and we had officers of all rank, but it gave us a place to talk where we actually could say things that you normally don't get to say or hear from particularly people of that age, the youth, as Mr. Anthony talked about. So that was very powerful. And some of the things that I heard, it brought a perspective that I didn't realize. So it was a very powerful thing, I think, for me, and apparently from everybody in my group. It gave us that space to actually have the dialogue necessary to drive change.
Last question.
Carmelo, what's the next step? How do you take this from conversation and a lot of give and take and discussion to actually implementing change in the community?
Well, I mean, if I had the solution, then this would be corrected already. I always said that it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to change it by myself. I think it's going to take a collective effort, and it's going to take time. But we have to start by talking about it, being honest with one another.
All right, here we go
Not
with
just
the
pointing fingers at
200
officers
hurdle
or the officers
semis.
pointing
This is 13-14.
or, you know, we know that the officers are a very united front when things as such happens. I don't think we need that. I think we need a direct dialogue with everybody. For me personally, I mean, continue these small groups. I think a lot of things come out when you put people in the small groups and talk about it. People feel comfortable. We leave the cameras out. A lot of people don't like to talk, and no disrespect to you guys, but a lot of people don't like to talk in front of cameras about things that is affecting them, affecting their community, what's happening, what's not happening. So for everybody, I think we all need to just, in our own communities, get back into our own communities and start individually back into our own individual communities.
Thanks everyone for coming out today. Thank you for the Challengers Boys and Girls Club today for hosting this event. Thank you to the Brotherhood Crusade and to the LAPD for also participating.